welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers. I'm Chris McGee, joined by our Laker insider Mike Bresnan, beat writer from The Athletic, Jovan Buha. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing well.
Jovan, I got news for you. I'm going to be down there tomorrow with you.
Yeah? In the trenches?
In the trenches. So that's a good sign.
Looking forward to it.
You ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. We got to get this out of the way. Game one did not go as planned. The Timberwolves used a 23-6 run in the second quarter to erase an early deficit and flip the game and potentially the series on their way to a 117-95 victory at Crypto.com Arena. They made 8 threes in the second quarter. The Lakers hit just 6 field goals in the same 12 minutes. Minnesota started the second half on an 11-0 run, and the Lakers never got within single digits in the second half and lost home court advantage in the best of 7 game series. Those middle quarters were all Minnesota, outscoring the Lakers 73-50. The T-Wolves made 15 of their franchise playoff game record, 21 threes in the second and third quarters combined. The Lakers made a mere 6 threes in the middle quarters. The Lakers were out-rebounded by 10, and the assists a shocking 19-4. The change needs to come immediately in Game 2.
I think the fourth quarter we played the way we play. I think we were playing physical. Everybody was locked in, and then we just kind of, let go of the rope, So we got to be way more physical. It's 48 minutes, and every possession matters. They were hitting a lot of threes. We got to limit their threes, especially their lasers. And we weren't physical. They were running. They were getting anything they want, and we got to be better with that.
You know, when you play in a Minnesota team, they're gonna be physical. That's what they bring to the table. Maybe it took us one playoff game to now get a feel for it and know what the type of intensity, the type of physicality that's going to be brought to the game. But that's just the way they play. So we should be more than prepared for that on Tuesday night. They took home court from us tonight. As far as the series, but we have an opportunity to even the series out on Tuesday, and we have to play a much better game than we did today. Like I said, we have to control the controllables, and if we do that, we're going to give ourselves a much better chance to win than we did tonight.
I mean, they're going to play hard every single possession. Offensively, defensively, they're going to be physical, and we have to do a better job defensive rebounding. We gave up too many, second chance points, and then we got to, get back. We can't give up transition points either. So we'll watch the film tomorrow and figure out ways we can be better.
Minnesota absolutely handled the Lakers in those 2 middle quarters, kind of separating from them. The physical style seemed to be the difference. Were you surprised at that, Brez?
I was. I probably shouldn't have been that surprised because, you look at their defenders. I mean, McDaniels, he's probably first-team All-NBA defense. Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. But yeah, that really caught me by surprise. First quarter, okay, no huge advantage there for anyone, and then boom. The middle 2 happened, and that was it, Jovan. And I even went back and looked at the Lakers and T-Wolves roster when they played back in 04, Geet. And, they had Garnett, they had Cassell, they had Spree. Those guys are kind of tough and mouthy and stuff, but you don't really think of those guys on this type of team. But again, the Lakers definitely got bounced around a little bit. I have a feeling, they've got some guys as well who can throw some lip out there. I think Jared Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith will be a little bit maybe agitated for Game 2.
I would say that the gap between these 2 teams from a physicality and length and size perspective was surprising. And when looking at some of the Lakers' recent success against OKC and Memphis and Houston and Dallas, they played those teams double big lineups off the floor. They played their bigs off the floor entirely in some of those fourth quarters. But it was the exact opposite in Game 1 when Minnesota was able to stay big. They were able to keep Gobert out there. They were able to, or if they took him off, okay, well now Reed's coming in and he's hitting 6 threes. So I think the Lakers are gonna have to figure that out because I think they have to play tougher and with more intensity. But I also think that there's just some type of length advantage for Minnesota that they're actually going to have to schematically scheme for just because it's stark.
Lakers started out the game hitting 7 threes in the first quarter, building up a little bit of a lead, and then from that point on, it just seemed to fade away. How much of the credit of this Laker offense struggling should go to the Minnesota defense?
Some of it. I mean, you can't be a poor sport and say, the Lakers just missed a bunch of shots and they weren't passing the ball. Not a lot of swing, shoot type of situations. But, yeah, you have to give the Timberwolves credit. And I thought the Lakers would be really well rested for this. I mean, Jovan, the starters and the important reserves went 8 days between games.
Yeah.
That should be a good news thing for the Lakers, right? Instead it was Minnesota that looked rested and prepped and kind of in your face. And, of course, when you make half your threes instead of franchise record in the playoffs by making 21 total, that's going to help a little bit. But, yeah, definitely a surprise to me. And, in fact, the Lakers are no longer favored to win the series. They were minus 195 before Game 1. Now Minnesota is a slight favorite at minus 135.
Yeah, well, one thing I noticed was Minnesota's a great defensive team. We did know that coming in. They were 6th overall. But the way the Lakers played offense, they also made it easy for them to guard.
I think so. And one thing that JJ talked about after the game was Minnesota's defensive coverages kind of threw the Lakers off based on their regular season-based defense. And typically they're more of a drop coverage team, more of a hedging team. So what that allows is for the Lakers to get those 4-on-3, 3-on-2 opportunities. But Minnesota was just switching everything. And they were saying, we dare you to beat us off the dribble or take contested pull-up jumpers. And the Lakers obliged. And I think the Lakers have to do a better job of dictating the terms of engagement and getting LeBron going downhill, getting Austin Reeves going downhill, and picking on Minnesota's smaller defenders to create advantages. So I think that's something they left on the table in Game 1.
You know, what was also alarming or concerning or disappointing, whatever word you want to use, JJ kind of after the game and the players, shared the same sentiment that the energy just wasn't great. It was almost regular season instead of a Game 1 playoff intensity. And that surprises me since we pumped it up for weeks that this could be their first time hosting since 2012, and the crowd seemed ready. So hopefully that changes on Tuesday. Besides the Timberwolves superstar Anthony Edwards, the Timberwolves really took advantage of the Lakers not having much size on the floor. You look at Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, they combined for 64 points to add to Ant's 22. After the game, McDaniels was asked why he was so impactful on the offensive end.
Jaden, did you know that you just had to get to the rim or that painted area just with the way that their defense is set up? And is that something that you can take advantage of kind of a lot in this series?
A little bit. I just noticed, at certain times when, they had no rim protector in the game, when Jackson Hayes wasn't on the court. And, I mean, if he's not on the court, I'm basically the tallest person out there. So, I don't think no one, could really rim protect me because Jackson Hayes wasn't on the court. But, yeah, just picking my spots at the right time.
T-Wolves role players went off in a big way, and Brez, was a lot of open looks. And I'll tell you what, they made the Lakers pay.
They really did. I mean, the specialists, as our friend Robert Ory would call the role players, they were incredible. And I got to be frank, Naz Reid, X6 Man of the Year, his numbers were a little depressed this year compared to what he did last season in winning that award. Jaden McDaniels, however, he had a really good, right around the All-Star break push. He had some injuries. Julius Randle was out for a while. Dante DiVincenzo was out for a while. McDaniels filled in that gap on offense. He scored almost 19 points a game in February. So it's not like all of a sudden it's shocking that he scores 25. It's not his forte to be an offensive guy scoring in the mid-20s, but he can do it. And, of course, is that really good defense, too. He might have been the best player on that team the other night. He was really impressive.
Yeah, I think the Lakers have to be careful about overhelping. And I think at times over the past couple months, as they've been one of the better defenses in the league, they've gotten into some bad habits with helping off of certain shooters. And on paper, Jaden McDaniels post-All-Star break was shooting about 31% on threes. But if you give him open threes, that's target practice. And he hit all three. Julius Randle, another guy probably on paper you're comfortable